Hi everyone, welcome to Kinesiology 2700 Stress Management for Healthy Living, Module 10, Gaining Balance Through Self-Empathy and Self-Compassion. So this week we're going to dive much deeper into what to do if all the stuff we've been talking about still isn't working and there's something kind of more significant coming up for you. And so this section is all around self-empathy and compassion and learning how to offer ourselves the same love and care that we might offer a best friend or a twin or somebody that we loved that was suffering with some things that we might be dealing with. And I think it comes especially at a good time because I know a lot of us right now are just kind of really doing our best to stay grounded through everything that's going on. And so this week again kind of brings us into a space of a little more depth. Please make sure that you give yourself enough time to be able to really engage in this module. It's one of the more important ones of the semester. It's also super important that you have your emotional charting exercise available because we circle back around to it this week. And it's something that I had you do a couple weeks ago where you drew a line and you drew above the line, you wrote all kinds of words, emotion words that make you feel good above the line, and emotion words that make you feel bad below the line, knowing that there's no right and wrong answer and knowing that there's no uniform answer between people. And I told you we would come back to that. So now we are coming back to that. So it's super important that you dig through your old papers and make sure you have that available as you go through the content video, because we're actually going to use it a lot through this content video to get your next assignments done. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to read pages 141 to 154 in Unstressed. And again, if you don't have the paper version, it's in chapter 5 from the heading that says Cultivate Empathy and Compassion through the heading that says Cultivate Hope. It's not a very long reading. And then you're going to take the content quiz. Then you're going to watch the Module 10 content video. It's super important that you really give yourself time for this video, both to really understand the concepts behind it, because we're going to be getting into some deeper stuff, and again, I had you draw that emotional chart and we talked about everything above on the emotional chart, and this is the week we start to look at, okay, so what about the things below the chart? What about if we're feeling angry or we're feeling depressed or we're feeling scared or we're feeling worried and that just isn't going away? So we're going to really start talking about that stuff this week, and the content video really explains how to work through it. But not only that, it also walks you through your exercises and reflections. Even though they're already in the book, the video really explains them and walks you through them. So after the video is done, you should have those exercise and reflections done. So it's really important that you spend some time with that video. Also, the sustained practice for this week is called Heart for Healing Self, or Holding and Healing Self, and that will make more sense after you watch the content video. It starts at the end of the content video, but you don't have to watch it then. It's just kind of like the same thing we did last week with the gratitude practice. So if you want, you can go straight into the practice. Again, you're going to kind of probably have to resituate yourself and get in a place that you can really go deep into that sustained practice, but you don't have to do it then. If you want to stop it and stop the recording and do it at a different time, you can do that. So it's at the end of the video, and it's also its own link under the Blackboard page. So you can do that however you want, but you do need to watch the content video, and then you're going to be doing the exercise and reflection, Cultivating Self-Empathy on page 147, or again in chapter 5, and you can just look for that heading. And the exercise and reflection, Cultivating Self-Compassion, which empathy and compassion are two different things. They're very closely connected. One often leads into the other, but not always. And it's really important to understand the difference. And so the chapter leads you through understanding the difference, and it also leads you through a process where you're going to cultivate first self-empathy for yourself, and then second, self-compassion for yourself. And so then what you're going to do is take those two exercise and reflections, combine them in one document, but make sure each part is clearly labeled, and then you're going to submit those together. It's also important that you do the exercise and reflections before you go into the last guided practice. And again, if you're doing this all through the content video, it will walk you through that process. It will walk you through the exercise and reflections and then lead you straight into the sustained practice. But it's really important before you do the sustained practice that you do take some time and do those exercise and reflections, because the sustained practice is actually built on those exercises and reflections. So you're going to kind of use those as imagery as you go through the guided practice. So it's super important that you do everything in the order that they're assigned this week. And then your practices, again, is the Heart for Holding and Healing Self, which is a sustained practice. And then I also am asking you to do an in-the-moment practice, and that can be any one of your choice. We've talked about a lot. We've talked about mindful, smiling breath. We've talked about the power of pause. We've talked about present moment awareness, attention to attention, cementing the good, just paying attention to your inner chatter. We've talked about a whole lot. Oh, and Heart in the Moment last week, where you actually, that was week 4, where you actually stop in the moment and really feel something that kind of is deeply connected to your heart. Or Grateful Heart last week, where you really stop in the moment and feel gratitude for something. So whichever one you feel called to do this week, but you will do some in the moment practice, and it doesn't have to be the same one, but some in the moment practice at least twice a day, and then record that in your heart log. And then you're going to combine again a couple paragraph reflection of the in the moment practices that you did, and then also the sustained practice. It doesn't need to only be 2 paragraphs. I always say 2 paragraphs because I want you to do a paragraph kind of summary of how the in the moment practices were, and at least a paragraph on the sustained practice. You might this week want to write a little bit more, because again, this is a deeper week, it's a deeper practice, and I'm always inviting you to kind of focus on kind of what that experience was in the practice. And so it may be a deeper experience. You may want to write more. So it's totally okay if you want to write more, but I do require that you just kind of at least dress each practice or each type of practice in a paragraph. So what you're going to be turning in this week, again, are is the content quiz, and then the 2 reflections, cultivating self-empathy and cultivating self-compassion, combined in one document, and then the summary of your practices. But really give yourself some time to go through that content video. I'm actually posting this module early, so you really give yourself some time to go through that module. And again, it might be just a perfect timing if you're really kind of struggling and getting grounded and struggling and just kind of trying to find a calm center through everything that's been going on. This might be a really good week to be able to kind of go deep with the class content to kind of get you in a grounded space. So have a really good week. See you next time.